Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the history of the Torres family of San Sebastián del Pepino in Puerto Rico, a lineage with rich traditions, interesting migration, and deep ancestral roots that go beyond the Caribbean. Before this, let's understand the surname Torres, right? It is derived from the Latin word turris, or meaning tower. It's a toponymic surname often given to families who lived or associated with fortified settlements or towers. It spread all throughout Spain and Portugal, with noble branches emerging all throughout the Iberian Peninsula in the medieval era. Also, Jewish families often took this name also. Well, they took every name, but this is one of them. Over time, it obviously spread across the Atlantic with the Spanish colonization of the New World. The specific family we're talking about has the paternal Y-DNA haplogroup of RZ214. It spread through Europe. It's considered Germanic. The place of the paternal lineage is a group commonly associated with Northern European or Germanic ancestry, obviously entering the Iberian Peninsula long before they came to Puerto Rico. And if anybody out there listening is a direct male descendant or knows a direct male descendant of the family, the Torres de Figueroa family, in the San Germán and Yauco area, if you know their haplogroup, I'm interested in. If it's RZ214, please let me know. That would help me out a lot. All right. So in this episode, we'll explore the Torres line that came to settle in San Sebastián del Pepino, and we'll trace their ancestral past. We'll be working from the top down, right? So we're gonna go from the 1700s and down to close to modern times. I'm gonna try not to mention any living people, but I want to connect the Puerto Rican family to the broader story that crosses centuries. So let's begin. This video was recommended by Señor Seda 9600 6 months ago. Obviously, I'm a little backed up, but I do take your suggestions very seriously. I write them all down in my to-do list. So if you made a suggestion and I didn't get to you, I promise I will get to you, okay? Thank you as always, for following the page. So, the first document I'm able to find tracing the Torres family, the first surname, or I should say the first time the Torres surname was used as a surname, is in this document that I'm about to present right here. This is from 1316, right? Get that around your head. It's written in Arabic. Luckily, I had somebody transcribe it. It's a letter from Yusuf ibn Muhammad ibn Kumasa to Arnau Torres. He was a governor in Valencia in southern Spain. So it says, "In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, praise be to God alone, and peace and blessings be upon the seal of the Prophet Muhammad, upon his family and companions. From the servant in need of the great mercy God, Yusuf ibn Muhammad ibn Kumasa, warden of the fortress of Vera." This is in Granada in southern Spain. "May God preserve it. To the noble and honorable governor Arnau Torres, lord of Orihuela, may God guide him to upright and protect him from harm. Peace be upon you. I write to you in the spirit of neighborly regard and mutual understanding. We seek that which brings calm to hearts and respite to both peoples. Therefore, I request to you with sincerity the granting of a truce of 20 days beginning at the date of your reception of this letter. Let there be, during this period, no raids nor hostilities, and may our forces remain in their places. This will ensure rest and peace on both sides and uphold the customs of frontier conduct between those who are mindful of this honor and treaty. I await your reply with hope and goodwill. May peace be upon those who follow guidance. What an incredible document. This is from 1316, obviously during the reconquest of Spain, when Christians and Muslims were at war for about 800 years. So Arnau Torres was a frontier governor, and to my research, he's the first Torres who uses it as a surname, which is quite remarkable. So next document is from 1492. This is from the log of Christopher Columbus, dated Friday the 2nd of November 1492. Mind you, this is when Columbus landed in Cuba. I decided to send an embassy into the country consisting of 2 Spaniards and 2 Indians. One of the Christians, Rodrigo de Jerez from Ayamonte, the other, Luis de Torres. Luis de Torres is one of the first, probably the first Torres to come to the New World. Actually, there was another Geronimo de Torres that was in the first voyage of Columbus. So Luis de Torres, who had lived with the Adelantado of Murcia, and he knew how to speak Hebrew, Chaldean, and some Arabic. So he came as an interpreter chosen for his linguistic skills. Originally, he was a Jewish man living in Spain. He converted to Christianity before the voyage, likely due to the Alhambra decree of 1492, which ordered the expulsion of all the Jews unless they converted. Columbus selected Torres for his ability to speak Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, thinking it could be useful because he was going to places nobody knew. So in 1492, he was one of the first Europeans to enter the interior of the Americas, and he reported on the native peoples, their customs, and he was the first to notice the use of tobacco smoke. And it's one of the earliest written accounts of tobacco used by the indigenous people. Some accounts suggest that Luis de Torres was part of the group of people that Columbus left behind in Santo Domingo, in Hispaniola, and when he came back, everybody he left behind was dead, killed in the ill-fated settlement of La Navidad. It's actually present-day Haiti. So likely he died, and he was one of the first casualties of the New World. Another Torres, you see him right here, Antonio de Torres. This is a letter from Christopher Columbus to the King and Queen of Spain. Antonio de Torres was a Spanish pilot, a boat pilot, obviously, who played a vital role in the early years of the exploration of Americas. He was the chief pilot of the fleet that accompanied Christopher Columbus in his second voyage of 1493. He was a trusted associate of Columbus. And in fact, Columbus might have had a romantic relationship with his sister. But Antonio was given the command of the return fleet in 1492, entrusted with the task of dispatching reports, bringing back goods to the Spanish crown back and forth, bringing letters like this one. In 1502, during Columbus's final voyage, he anchored in Santo Domingo and warned the colonial officials of a massive hurricane, because he's done the most traveling, so he was able to tell when the weather was changing. Obviously, huracan is an Indian word, so the Spanish didn't believe that Columbus could predict the weather. So Columbus requested shelter for his ships, but it was denied. The same fleet that was leaving, Santo Domingo. It was commanded by Antonio de Torres. It carried treasure, gold, goods, and important passengers, including Francisco de Bobadilla, who famously arrested Columbus in 1500 and sent him back to Spain in chains. Francisco Roldan, this was the man who led the rebellion against Columbus's authority in the New World. Guarionex, who was a Taino cacique or a chief in the region of Hispaniola in Magua, and he actually resisted the Spaniards, but he was captured and placed on this fleet and sent to Spain. But as predicted by Columbus, the hurricane struck the Caribbean, and shortly after, most of the ships were lost, and this Antonio died in the storm with mostly everybody else. There were very few survivors. I think Rodrigo Bastidas survived, and he sailed back to Spain. So in Puerto Rico, in 1510, and this is, mind you, Ponce de Leon first landed in Puerto Rico in 1508. So in 1510, you see right here, Cristobal de Torres, and this record is part of a historic event that took place in Capará, the first Spanish settlement in Puerto Rico, and this is the first official gold smelting on the island. The smelting began in October and finished in November of 1510. Among the list of the people who were mostly conquerors is this Cristobal de Torres. His name appears alongside early settlers and conquistadors. These men were involved in the smelting and collecting the royal fifth, or the quinto real, of the Spanish crown, marking the beginning of Puerto Rico's role in Spanish colonial society and the economy. This document is one of the earliest economic records of the island, but also a window into the first Europeans, and Cristobal de Torres was one of them. There was other Torres that came, but I thought this was quite interesting. And this Cristobal was just one of the many men bearing the Torres name who will go on to shape the island's early colonial history, and over the centuries, there was different unrelated Torres families who arrived in Puerto Rico. Some from Spain, some from the Canary Islands, some from other places in Latin America, and still others through military and religious service. Another figure was Diego de Torres de Figueroa, who I think is he's the oldest Torres de Figueroa, which is a compound surname of a colonial Criollo family. And he appears in official documents as early as 1598, serving in the Cabildo of San Germán, one of the oldest towns in Puerto Rico. Another notable Torres that arrived in Puerto Rico is distinguished figure Garcia de Torres. He lived from 1563 to 1625. He was born in Spain and made his way through the military, from a soldier to sergeant to captain. His career eventually brought him to Puerto Rico, where he served with honor and distinction. During the Battle of 1625, a Dutch fleet launched an attack on the city. Garcia de Torres died heroically in El Morro. There's actually a structure to his honor on the property. He died from a musket attack while defending his stronghold. His memory was remembered for many years after he died. His sacrifice became part of the legacy of resistance that helped define Puerto Rico's colonial fortitude. See right here, it says Puerto Rico, Garcia de Torres. This is written by his son. And it says right here that he left 3 sons and 3 daughters. So he has living descendants. Okay, so we're going to do a little fast forward to the late 17th century, where we meet right here Leonardo de Torres, the oldest known patriarch of the Torres family of San Sebastián del Pepino. He must have been born, because this is from 1700, so he must have been born around 1682. This is from the muster rolls of Arecibo, Puerto Rico, so these are all military men. And there's another Torres here, you see Pedro. I'm not sure how they're related. But Arecibo was a northern frontier settlement. His name marks the beginning of the long and rooted Torres lineage from the island, which eventually will become, the family would eventually migrate to San Sebastián. So this is Leonardo, marries Inés de los Santos, also called Ocasio sometimes. So he's the furthest ancestor of this line that I'm able to find. This is from the Book of Marriages from Arecibo. You see right here, this is Fulgencio. He marries in 1728, the legitimate son of Leonardo de Torres and Inés de los Santos of Arecibo. He's marrying Maria da Silva, the legitimate daughter of Bernardo da Silva and Sebastiana Garcia. He is from 1760. This is actually the death record of Fulgencio Torres, right? He dies in Arecibo. Fulgencio Torres, and it only mentions his wife, Maria de Silva. No children are mentioned, his parents are not mentioned, but luckily we had his marriage record. This is a baptism record from 1735. Tomás Torres, Tomás, the legitimate son, hijo legítimo of Fulgencio de Torres and Mariana de Morales. You see, she also went by Morales and de Silva. Her mother was Morales, father was de Silva. So the names were interchangeable. And his padrino was Blas de Torres, who must be a close family of his father. (1758). This is still in Arecibo. Tomás de Torres is marrying Maria de Rosario Avilés. So Tomás is the legitimate son we already know of, Fulgencio Torres, and Maria de Avilés. This is a mistake, right? And he's marrying Maria Rosario de Avilés. That's correct. They must have made a mistake and put his wife's name as his mother's. But she's the legitimate daughter of Captain Don Alonso Avilés and Doña Martina de la Cruz. And she has passed away. This is from 1766 in Arecibo. This is the baptism of Ricardo Torres, right? Ricardo, the legitimate son of Tomás de Torres and Maria Avilés. You see, it's interesting. It used to be spelled Thorres. They spell like that sometimes. This is a marriage record in 1803. Ricardo de Torres and Damiana Sales. Interestingly enough, they marry in Bayamón, which is on the San Juan area of the island, where most of the family is in the Arecibo area. I still don't know why this move was made, but this was when I found this, I was very excited to find this record. So Ricardo de Torres, the legitimate son of Tomás, right, and Maria de Silva, I might say. Oh no, Avilés. Sorry, Maria Rosario Avilés from Arecibo, and he's marrying Damiana Sales, the legitimate daughter of Juan Sales and Michaela Morales. This is a marriage record from 1834, and this is the marriage of Jose Torres, the legitimate son of Ricardo Torres and Damiana Sales. And you see they're finally in San Sebastián, right? And he's marrying Teresa González de la Cruz, the daughter of Santiago González de la Cruz and Rosalia Ramos. This is another compound surname, González de la Cruz, and Santiago is a direct descendant of Cristobal González de la Cruz, who was actually the founder of San Sebastián del Pepino. So they have deep roots in this area. This is from 1860, the major landowners of Pepino, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7th largest landowner in the area was Jose Ramon Torres, and he had his property in the Joyamala area, which I love. I love going to the waterfalls over there even to this day. And he owned 490 hueldas, and they call it strings, but this is close to a mile. So, acres. So he had about 490 acres in the San Sebastián area, which was at this time a lot. 1869, right? This source randomly was shared with me by another genealogist, Pedro Javier Mendez Irizarry. He's another genealogist, and this document really helped me break through this brick wall, because I didn't know to look anywhere besides the San Sebastián Arecibo area, but this actually helped me realize that he had some that he was in the Bayamón area. So this helped me break through the brick wall. So Pedro Javier Mendez Irizarry, I'm sending you a heartfelt thank you on behalf of the whole family. So with that being said, this is a joint will of Don Jose Ramon Torres, 64 years old, a native of Bayamón, even though he was born and baptized in Arecibo, as we saw. And he's his father was from Arecibo. The legitimate son of Don Ricardo Torres and Doña Damiana de Salas, both deceased. His wife, Doña Zoraida Ramirez de Arellano, 38 years old, a native of Añasco, the legitimate daughter of Felipe Ramirez de Arellano and Doña Merced Gomez, deceased. The husband, we're talking about Jose Ramon, was previously married to Doña Teresa González de la Cruz, who we already know, with whom he had 7 children. 3 died in childhood and 2 in adolescence. Maria Antonia and Dolores, and surviving is Don Segismundo, who we'll be talking about, and Doña Josefa Torres y González de la Cruz. From his second marriage, he had Doña Zelmira, Don Jose Torres y Ramirez de Arellano, both minors. They're, I guess, at school age. His assets, he has a residential house and 2 smaller houses located in Nosagare, 22 guerda or acres, 22 acres with the house made out of wood, and another property in Barrio Joyamala with 300 guerdas, or like close to 300 acres, undeveloped, and with a house of wood and tile. He has another in Barrio Oaxaca, 40 guerdas or acres, and he had 10 enslaved people of both sexes, various nets, I assume for fishing or trapping of different sizes, 2 mares, 1 horse, and several outstanding debts. And the executor is Manuel Estevez. So once again, thank you for sharing this with me. This was a great breakthrough for me. Okay. Also in 1869, this is going to get interesting, right? So, in 1869, there was a Spanish constitution passed after the glorious revolution that dethroned Queen Isabella II, and this became one of Spain's most liberal and democratic charters of the 19th century. It introduced the freedom of religion, the freedom of expression, the separation of church and state, and importantly for us, Puerto Ricans, it expanded the definition of citizenship. under this, there was Title 19. The specific section of the Constitution dealt with the application of constitutional rights in overseas provinces, including Puerto Rico and Cuba. It effectively extended Spanish constitutional protections and citizenship rights to Puerto Ricans who had until then been treated as colonial subjects rather than full citizens, right? So it was a historic step forward, and the recognition of Puerto Ricans as full citizens of Spain, and it was also symbolic for the centuries of colonial marginalization. And you'll see in the next slide how the people reacted. So this is from the book called El Boceto Histórico del Pepino. It's about the history of San Sebastián del Pepino, written by Andrés Méndez Lisiaga. And I'll be quoting this book a few times, so stay with me. So right here, I'm going to be translating this. So, on the occasion of the enforcement in Puerto Rico of Title I of the Spanish Constitution of the year 1869, in the town of Pepino, in the 19th day of the month of August in the year 1873, the municipal city council met with the attendance of the mayor-president, Don Jose Ignacio Irizarry, and council members, Don Manuel Joaquin Cabrero, Don Fermín Lisiaga, Don Simeón Frías, Don Juan Ramón Sosa, and el síndico, Don José Ramón Torres. The reading was made of a telegram published in the official gazette on the 14th of the current month by the Honorable Civil Governor, received the Honorable President of the Constituent Assembly, which states, the Constituent Assembly has definitively approved today in the session the law declaring the enforcement in Puerto Rico of Title I of the Constitution of 1869. The corporation was pleasantly impressed, unanimously resolved to express the Honorable Governor with undescribable enthusiasm with which the decree of the National Assembly has received in this locality as a rigorous act of justice in recognizing as natural-born citizens those who were, until recently, considered illegitimate children of Spain. Citizens whose fathers never renounced their rights, and who, nearly 4 centuries ago, came across these shores under the command of the Genoese Argonaut, they're talking about Christopher Columbus, to seek glory and wealth for the motherland, and it was a marvel of the universe for its leadership in the sciences and the arts. And so, in honor of this great event, this municipality, faithful interpreter of the sentiments of the people it represents, elevates to the sovereign courts, through your excellency, the most sincere expression of its gratitude, and offers the fervent hope that preserving forever the treasure of liberties summarized in Title I of the Fundamental Code of the Nation. It respectfully asks your excellency to accept these heartfelt demonstrations of affection and gratitude for having contributed with such praiseworthy dedication and honorable resolve to achieve the achievement of the legitimate aspirations of the country. Signed by José Ignacio Irizarry, Manuel J. Cabrero, Fermín Lisiaga, Simeón Farias, Juan Ramón Sosa, and José Ramón Torres. What an incredible document, right? And especially in these days when there's another consideration for Puerto Ricans today to have dual citizenship between the United States and Spain. Among the officials listed in the declaration, José Ramón, el síndico, the síndico is a civic official with responsible for legal and municipal matters. He would have been a respected leader in the town of Pepino. He was a representative for the people's voice, and a Torres family figure that tied to the liberal and constitutionalist ideals. And this is a great document for Puerto Rican history. Now, in 2024, there's an ongoing proposal emerged in Spain that suggested Puerto Ricans be granted Spanish citizenship without renouncing U.S. citizenship, acknowledging the island's deep historical ties to Spain. This modern initiative can be seen as a continuation of a revival of the spirit of the Title 19 of the 1869 Constitution, which recognized Puerto Ricans as Spaniards. Figures like Jose Ramon Torres, who actively supported the extension of the constitutional rights to Puerto Rico, are early and legal and symbolic ancestors of this 21st century movement. It's really a great honor to be associated with this document. Moving right along, this is from 1849. This is also from the same book that I referred to before, about the boceto de histórico de Pepino. So this is from 1849, the public primary school for letters. So this is an all boys school. They were educated in reading, spelling, penmanship, arithmetic, geography, and obviously Christian doctrine. And you see right here, at 11 years old, Segismundo Torres. And he's going to be the next person we'll be talking about. So at age 11, he was studying at the only formal public boys' school in San Sebastián. The fact alone places him among the earliest recorded participants in organized public education in Puerto Rico. Mind you, and this time in 1849, only 10%, between 5 and 10% of the population were actually literate. So it shows that his family wanted to educate their family. And he marries in 1870 in San Sebastián. And you see right here, they went by De La Torre, but this is the only time you'll ever see that. It was always Torres. And he marries Maria Zoila Avilés Pagan. She's from Manatí. Her father is Francisco Avilés, and the mother is Paula Pagan. This is the death record of Zoila Avilés. 35 years old. That's very young. The widow of Don Segismundo Torres, the legitimate daughter of Don Francisco Avilés and Doña Paula Pagan. So, because she died so young, they only had one child, and he was born in 1872. This is his baptismal record, and he was named Cosme Damián Torres Avilés, the son of Segismundo Torres and Zoila Avilés, the paternal grandson of Jose Ramon Torres and Teresa de Jesus González de la Cruz, and on the maternal side, he's the maternal grandson of Francisco Avilés and Paola Pagan. He marries in 1890 in San Sebastián, Segismundo Cosme Damián Torres Avilés, and he marries Pilar Rodriguez Hernandez. It says right here, he's the legitimate son of Segismundo Torres and Doña Zoila Avilés. He's marrying Doña Pilar Rodriguez Hernandez. She's from Aguada, and she's the legitimate daughter of Don Adolfo Rodriguez and Doña Estefania Hernandez. And they're both from La Guada. Okay. Now, I'm going to take you down a little rabbit hole. Bear with me for a minute. So, the Freemasons. If you haven't guessed already, this is a Freemason document. So, Freemasonry traces its roots from the medieval guilds and the stonemasons of Europe, who built all the great cathedrals and the castles in the Middle Ages, but they were secretive. They liked to keep their secrets because they didn't want anybody else knowing how to build these great architecture. So by the 18th century, these guilds evolved to Freemasonry, and it was a philosophical and fraternal movement that focused on the Enlightenment and the Enlightenment ideals, self-improvement, and moral symbolism. The first Grand Lodge was founded in 1717, marking the beginning of modern Freemasonry as an organized fraternity. Among the notable European members were Frederick the Great, the leader of Prussia, a literal military genius, and an enlightened absolutist who supported religious tolerance. Sir Isaac Newton, the father of modern physics and a master of esoteric knowledge. Voltaire, the French Enlightenment philosopher and an outspoken critic of tyranny and dogma. And Napoleon Bonaparte. His relationship was complex with Freemasonry, but he was recognized as a Mason. In the Americas, that's Europe, but in the Americas, Freemasonry became deeply intertwined with revolutionary movements and the founding of new nations. You'll see. Benjamin Franklin was, he was a publisher, an inventor, and the founder of the first Masonic Lodge in Pennsylvania. George Washington, obviously the first president of the United States. He was also a master Mason who presided over cornerstone ceremonies in the new capital of Washington, D.C., which was built in the patterns of Masonic rituals. Toussaint L'Ouverture, the leader of the Haitian Revolution, who applied the Enlightenment ideas for the cause of liberty for the enslaved. Francisco de Miranda, he was from a Venezuelan revolutionary leader and one of the early advocates for Latin American independence. Simón Bolívar, the liberator, who was initiated in the Masonic Lodge and carried its ideals into independence for most of South America. And José Martí, a Cuban patriot and writer, and he was a Freemason, you see right here. And he used the Freemasonry as a tool for unity and anti-colonial struggle. In Puerto Rico, Freemasonry developed under oppression and idealism, beginning in the shadows of the colonial rule. The Grand Lodge of Puerto Rico was the first official body of the island. It was founded in 1885 in Mayagüez under the leadership of Santiago Palmer. And he was an autonomous leader who was actually persecuted and imprisoned by the Spanish government for his political ideals. Throughout the 19th century, Masonic lodges in Puerto Rico faced persecution from both the Spanish government and the Catholic Church. The state viewed Masons as agitators for independence and liberal reform. As you can see, they accomplished their goals all throughout the Americas, while the Church considered them a threat to religious doctrine. As a result, many of the lodges were underground or worked in secrecy. Following the U.S. annexation of Puerto Rico in 1898, the lodges resumed regular operations because they figured the United States was operated by Masons also. Under the new U.S. regime, Freemasonry was not only tolerated but admired. as you can see, many of the founding fathers were Masons. However, later on, during the time of Albizu Campos, the Masons on Puerto Rico kind of had a schism, and some believed that Puerto Rico should be independent. Others thought the opposite. So some of the notable Puerto Ricans who were also Masons is our guy right here, Dr. Ramon Emeterio Betances, the padre de patria, the father of the country. He was a revolutionary and an abolitionist, and he wanted to fight for Puerto Rican independence in his great Grito de Lares. Eugenio Maria de Hostos, he was a philosopher, educator, advocate for social reform and Puerto Rican sovereignty. Santiago de Palmer, we already mentioned him. He was the one who opened the first lodge of Puerto Rico. Dr. Manuel Sino Gandia, he was a physician, a novelist, political thinker, considered by many to be Puerto Rico's first novelist. Dr. Jose Celso Barbosa, considered the father of Puerto Rico's statehood movement and the founder of the Republican Party on the island. Luis Muñoz Rivera, the father of Luis Muñoz Marin, the first elected governor of Puerto Rico, but he was a leader of the autonomous movement. And Jose de Diego, poet, politician, and tireless advocate for Puerto Rican independence. Okay, let's get back to our Torres story, and I introduce Segismundo Torres Avilés. Obviously, in his Masonic robes, he was a distinguished Freemason. He was a journalist, a public servant from Pepino, and his life really reflects the Enlightenment service, commitment to Puerto Rico. So let's see if we could break down his Masonic regalia. The white apron embroidered with columns, right here. Doom temple and other architectural symbols representing the pillars of wisdom, strength, beauty. These are all key elements of Masonic symbolism. Around his neck, you see a collar with jewels, likely his rank in the lodge, which was worshipful master or senior warden, or possibly officer of the Grand Lodge. The Masonic sash, right here, adorned with stars and the geometric patterns, further emphasizes his prominent role in the Masonic temple. He was mentioned in the newspapers a whole bunch of times. He was an active contributor of the local periodicals such as El Triunfo and El Culebrinas. One article notes that he was gifted 3 artistic photographs to commemorate festivities honoring the town of Pepino and their patron saint. And he was also recognized as a poet. He worked for the insular government. He held various roles in the Department of Public Works and the Department of Health. He was the foreman overseeing the roads connecting Lares to San Sebastián. He was entrusted with municipal responsibilities, including like sanitation projects and other commercial partnerships. He was praised in the book that I mentioned before, the Boceteco Histórico de Pepino, for his inteligente manera de actuar, or his intelligent way of conducting himself. So I don't even know what else to say about this, but what an incredible photo this is, and the family's lucky to have it. This is him and his wife right? I want you to pay close attention because a lot of the pictures you see his left eye is a little, something's going on with it. But I found this photo in the Masonic temple, right? All these distinguished guys. But if you look right here in the corner over here, this I believe is him. And if you see, take a close look at his eye. Looks a little jacked up, but it could be the lighting. So it's hard to say, but I believe that's him. Unfortunately, in 1921, tragedy struck. This is his wife, Pilar, and his oldest son, Andres Segismundo. But she dies in 1921. Pilar Rodriguez Hernandez, the wife of Segismundo Torres, leaving 12 children: Segismundo, Amparo, Marcola, Maria Juana, Jose, Pilar, Oscar, Clara, Gilberto, this is Cesar Gilberto, Arminda, and Lydia. And she is the legitimate daughter of Adolfo Rodriguez and Estefania Hernandez. So the grandparents are here. The paternal granddaughter of Jose, the S is for Santos Rodriguez, and Jacinta Mercado. And the maternal side, she is the granddaughter of Evangelista Hernandez and Maria Estevez. Now, at the time of her death, her husband was obviously devastated, and as we know, he was considered a poet. So he wrote this poem, and I will read it. Novia Muerta por Segismundo Torres Avilés, dedicada a su esposa defunta, Pilar Rodríguez Hernández, en el momento en que se sacaba el féretro de su casa hacia el cementerio para darle cristiana sepultura. Okay. Venmusa del dolor, oye mi canto, presta concurso a mi doliente voz para expresar el hondo sufrimiento que su muerte en un corazón dejó. Copioso llanto, mi faz enudada, amargas penas siento en mi ser. Es que conservó tristes recuerdos tristes de una mujer. Mientras llorando miro su partida. Ahí van las notas de mi pobre canto, y en ellas van una flor de siempre vida, envueltos en los rodales de mi llanto. I'll translate. This is The Dead Bride by Segismundo Torres Avilés, dedicated to his departed wife, Pilar Rodriguez Hernandez, written at the moment her coffin was being taken from their home to the cemetery for Christian burial. Come, muse at my sorrow, hear my song, lend thy support to my grieving voice, that I may express deep anguish her death has left me, in a heart now void. A heavy veil floods my face, bitter stones press within my soul, for I still cry, sad memories, sorrowful memories of a woman. As I weep, watching her depart, there go the notes of my humble song, and within them, a flower that cannot die, wrapped in the torrents of my weeping. This is a powerful poem, and it was said to be heard in the area of Pepino for other people who lost their wives. And in 1925, Segismundo dies in Pepino. Segismundo Torres Avilés, the widow of Pilar Rodriguez, and then 12 children, Segismundo, Amparo, Marcola, Maria, Jose, Clara, Juana, Pilar, Oscar, Gilberto, Arminda, and Lidia, the legitimate son of Jose Torres and Zoila Avilés. And it was filled out by his oldest son, Segismundo, who is my great-grandfather. This is a lovely picture of his 7 children. He had more, but these are the 7 that are in this photo. This is Segismundo right here, and this is Cesar Gilberto. We'll get to him. So of his children, this is his oldest child, but she dies young, Felicita. She dies before them. This is his oldest surviving daughter, Amparo Torres. And after the family died, after their parents died, she took the role as leader of the family, and she made sure that the younger ones were educated and well fed, and she was the rock of the family when they all became orphans. The next is my great-grandfather, but we'll get there. Marcolina Torres. She marries Ramon Almodovar. This is Maria. She marries Angel Gonzalez. This is Juana Monserrate. This is the younger one is Juana. This is Maria. Jose Torres, this is him right here. He became Monsignor, a high-ranking official in the Catholic Church of San Sebastián. His name is mentioned on many baptismal records and birth records during his time. Clara Elvira, she marries Antonio Gonzalez. This is Pilar, right? This is her when she was younger. This is the first year, 1925 and 1926. This is the first year where they had basically like a nursing school for young women to become nurses, and she was part of it. This is her right here. This is her as she's a little older. And this is her as an adult. Obviously still a nurse. This is her again with her, this is her right here, but this is her brother Oscar. And this is my grandfather's brother, Freddie, as a baby. Now, let's get to one of the rock stars of the family, Cesar Gilberto Torres Rodriguez. He was Puerto Rican poet, a patriot, a nationalist. He was born in 1912. His formal education ended after the 8th grade, but he always had the passion for literature. He was basically self-taught, and he would leave a lasting mark on Puerto Rican nationalist politics. He was friends closely tied to Pedro Albizu Campos, and he was personally acquainted with Julia de Burgos, another Puerto Rican nationalist and poet, and Lolita Lebrón, if you know her. She was actually the goddaughter of one of his children. In 1932, he published his first book, Flores entre Páginas, and in 1933, his poem Días de Navidad won a prize of literary contest in Lares. The same year, he officially joined the Nationalist Party, becoming a regional leader. In 1935, he moved to New York in search of work. He went to Harlem at first, and then he eventually went to Brooklyn, where he became a committed member of the independence movement. In 1938, he was actually sentenced to 18 months in prison for allegedly leading the attack against a detective. The charge was linked to a nationalist uprising, The sentence was eventually suspended. During World War II, he refused to join the military because he didn't want to fight for this country. He wanted to fight for his own country, which is Puerto Rico, where he was sentenced to 4 more years in prison. He was in Lewisburg and in Connecticut and Danbury. Upon his release, he returned to Brooklyn and he continued fighting for his cause. He founded the Casa de San Sebastián. It was like a cultural hub for the Puerto Rican diaspora in the United States. He was actually one of the founding members and the first president of the Circle of Iberian American Poets and Writers, alongside Juan Aviles Medina, Odon Betances Palacios, Federico Onís. His poem, Jíbara Santa, was famously performed in a town hall by Eusebia Cosme, and Rafael Bartolomé presented Jíbara de Guadalán at Carnegie Hall. One of his poems was called one of the most perfect ever written in the Spanish language by a philosopher named Jorge Artiel. He wrote a few books of a collection of his poems. One was Flores entre Páginas, that came out in 1932. In 1943, Abanico de Fuego, 1949, Aromas de Limón, 1970, Resolana, 1981, Guanín, and 1989, Pasión de Alma. He also penned the lyrics for a classic bolero song, Puerto Rican bolero, called Trigueña, made famous by Benito Fred and later recorded by El Cuarto de los Naipes. And while we're talking about that, let's listen to it. This is Trigueña by César Gilberto Torres. He is the writer, not the singer.
Trigueña, la de los ojos negros, de cabellos de seda y labios de trigueña, de miradas de fuego, detalles de palmera. Yo solo pienso en ti. Sin ti, mi corazón está enfermo. Que vaya sin cesar, herido en mi dame tu amor. ¿Qué es lo que pido? Porque fuiste ángel, mujer, por quien suspiro.
Beautiful. I love it. So, this is from the carpeta of Julia de Burgos. And the FBI kept a file on Puerto Rican nationalists, so this is from her file. On page 1, it shows from 1943, the people who were at a meeting celebrating the Grito de Lares. And you see right here, one of the people there attending, Cesar Torres. He was very, very involved in Puerto Rican politics. As said before, this is the Circle of Iberian American Writers and Poets. This is him right here. He was the first president. And this Circle of Iberian American Writers and Poets is still in existence today. This is from 1969, the Daily News. he submitted this as an article. Seize Tyrant's Hand, Brooklyn. In a recent editorial, you wrote about the intentions of the international communism to take over Puerto Rico. Before communism existed, American armed forces landed in our country and took over the island without the consent of the Puerto Rican people. This is no different between Russian colonialism in Hungary and American colonialism in Puerto Rico. The present Commonwealth system is just a new form of colonialism. Cesar Torres. And this is from the inside of one of his books, a short biography. And he had another sister, Remedios, and this is Blanca Lilia, who lived from 1917 to 2010, and she was the wife of Carl Argila. Now, let's get to my great-grandfather, Andrés Segismundo Torres Rodriguez, born in 1895 in San Sebastián, Puerto Rico. The legitimate son of the declarante, who is Segismundo Torres, and his wife Pilar Rodriguez from Aguada. The paternal grandson of Don Segismundo Torres and Doña Zoila Avilés, and she's from Manatí. And the maternal grandson of Adolfo Rodriguez and Estefania Hernandez. This is a picture of him. He marries in 1921 to Maria Acevedo Marquez. And Maria is the legitimate daughter of Miguel Acevedo and Carmen Marquez. And poetry runs in the family, right? His father was a poet, his brother was a poet, and this is one from him, written in 1938, titled Pensamientos, and I will read it. Si a alguno de tus hermanos la desgracia le persigue y un traidor destino lo lanza al abismo, no lo desprecies, no lo empujes, dale la mano, que su sangre es la misma que corre por tus venas. In English, this is his thoughts. If misfortune hunts down one of your brothers, and a treacherous fate has cast them into the abyss, do not scorn him, do not push him away. Extend your hand, for his blood is the same that flows through your veins. It's powerful and compassionate, and it's a call for brotherly solidarity and empathy. I love it. So in 1938, this is during the Great Depression, he took his family to the United States and they settled in New York. See right here, Segismundo Torres, Maria Torres, his wife. These are all his children, including Orlando down here. This is my grandfather right here, Dyron Torres. He came at only 6 years old. This is him right here, my grandfather. And his brothers and sisters. And this is the 1940 U.S. Census, and they're in New York, in Manhattan, New York City. Right here, Segismundo Torres, Maria, his wife, all his children, Pilar, Wilfredo, Edmundo, Maria, Elva, Dyron, my grandfather, Orlando, Miguel, and Edgar. Unfortunately, he did not live long in the United States. He died a couple years into it and leaving the family in poverty because he was the breadwinner. This is his father-in-law, Miguel Acevedo. And Miguel is the son of Esteban Acevedo and Bernarda Acosta. And they immigrated to Puerto Rico from the Canary Islands. Okay, let's get to my grandfather's generation. And this is the oldest sister, Pilar. We called her Titi Chucha. This is her right here, where my grandfather in New York. This is her with her mother. And she is important to me because she was the first genealogist of this family. And mind you, before the internet, she had access to a lot of records. I don't know how, but she was almost always right. I did find some errors, but you can't blame her. So this is like from the 80s. This is her notes. You know, she's a Ricardo Torres. She assumed he was from Portugal, but we showed that is an error. But look, Jose Ramon Torres Sales, Andres Segismundo Torres Gonzalez. She knew so much, and at a time when records were hard to get. And she also wrote this. No, Ricardo Torres was from a Jewish family, probably converted to Catholicism to save his life and business, but we know that's not true because we have Ricardo's baptism as a baby, and his family was not Jewish and not from Portugal. So as perfect as the memories I have of her, but she did make a mistake here. This is Wilfredo, also known as Tato. This is Edmundo Torres. He was obviously a soldier, and he married Josefina Medina. This is Titi Eva. This is Titi Inda. Her real name was Elba, but they called her Inda. And she married John Rios, another Puerto Rican, and he was also a veteran of the U.S. Army. Now this is my grandfather, Dyron Torres. As a young man, probably at his confirmation. This is before he came to New York, and this is after he came to New York. In New York on the Ruby Sea, they were cold, probably hate the weather. But how do you explain this? Why does my grandfather have a gun? And this seems to be a theme throughout his life. Yeah. I'll show you. So, growing up in Manhattan, he was a boxer and running the streets, probably a young delinquent. And one time, as the family legend has it, he went into a convenience store or bodega, and there was a young woman working there, and he attempted to court her, but she came from a military family. Her father was a World War I veteran, and all her brothers served, and she was like, I would only date military men. So come back when you're in uniform and I'll think about it. And he thought about it. He joined the U.S. Marines, the 4th Battalion. It's him right here. Right here. And this is him in Korea with a gun, of course, with a gun. And he came back and he found that woman and they married. This is my grandmother, Carmen Pagan Sepulveda. They married in 1953 at the Church of the Annunciation. a picture of him with my mother as a child. So this is probably like maybe 1957. And he marries again. His second marriage was to Maria Marrero, affectionately known as Mary. And he was actually good friends with Gordon Parks. Gordon Parks is he was the director of Shaft, the famous movie Shaft. He was one of the originators of blaxploitation films. You can see right here, my good friend Dyron, I'm missing you around, and this is from 1974, signed by Gordon Parks. It's me and my grandfather. He was very proud that I joined the military and followed in his footsteps. And not to be outdone by his childhood self, my grandfather with a gun and a knife, of course. This is his younger brother, Darwin Orlando, obviously a strong man. He also joined the military, the U.S. Army. Obviously very proud of his physique, worked very hard for it. And this is him and his wife, Titi Miguel. Then another brother was Miguel. He's still alive. Hamlet, still alive. Freddie, Uncle Freddie, I have very fond memories of him. He was another one that liked to, he liked bows and arrows and stuff like that. I used to love going to his house. He also loved to play chess. And finally, the only living person that I just cannot avoid putting up, obviously this family still goes on, but I'm sorry, this is my Uncle Edwin right here, my great uncle, my grandfather's brother. And this is in my house in the 90s, right? This was my older sister's 8th grade graduation, so it was like 1996. And he's here. This is Louis Lyman right here, the brother of Frankie Lyman. And this is Herman Santiago, right? Herman Santiago, one of the famous teenagers. He actually wrote the song Why Do Fools Fall in Love, their most famous song. And these guys used to just be in my house when I was younger. And at the time, I didn't really appreciate it. But now I look back, I'm like, what were these famous men doing in my house? And it's because my uncle was also in the Admirations. This was a doo-wop group in the 1950s. So the story of the Torres family of San Sebastián still continues. There's a lot of us. Actually, if every one of us watches this video one time, we should have 1 million views on this video. So there's a lot of us, and I obviously couldn't name them all. But it's a legacy of resilience, service, and love for this land that shaped us. This video is dedicated to my Torres family, both past and present, and to the living descendants who may not carry the name, but continue the values and the spirit of those who came before us. May we remember them not only through documents and photographs, but through our own actions, our voices, and our pride of who we are. And now, to close this tribute, I'm going to let the Aberrations play us out with their beautiful song, I Was Found. Thank you for watching and being part of the story. Palante, as always. And this video was uploaded by his son, Mike Torres. Let's give him a subscribe. And Mike is also actually a very talented singer. But let's let the Admirations play us out.
This is the moment I've waited for, to be united once and for all. You are my symphony. You are my destiny. You are my dream and desire. You set my soul on fire. I will be the fool, won't let you go. For fools are lost, but I was found. Won't be the fool, won't let you go. For fools are lost, but I